All right, fellas. I know the people been waiting on us. They really have. And big news: Trent McDuffie is no longer a Chief. We have been talking about this since the middle of the season that nothing meant anything. So you had to talk about secondary stories. We've been talking about this since then, and it has happened. And we are a different show. We set ourselves apart. And there are a lot of people doing content. Nobody's good as us, but there are a lot of people doing content. And I just want to kick this off in a way that I don't believe anybody else has. And I think this is something we don't have to take a lot of time on it. But so does this now mean that Travis Kelce, who I believe will be on the team, is he taking the crown back? Now that McDuffie is gone, and I believe Isaiah Pacheco will be gone, and I believe both of them wrestled the crown of most attractive player on the Kansas City Chiefs from a Travis Kelce. Now that because I know for you it was McDuffie. I thought I've heard a lot of comments like
Duffy's good looking dude.
I know at BK stuff. I said Isaiah Pacheco. I've heard a lot of people lose their mind over Isaiah Pacheco. And BK, I remember you stepped in and said, "Have you seen Trent McDuffie?"
I remember the first time I saw Trent McDuffie, I was like, "Whew."
I would like it to be known. I think that's one of my best takes I've ever had. I have zero regrets.
Listen, I think clearly 22-10 had wrestled that away from Travis. I think Travis probably had that for a while. Does this come back to Travis when he returns to the team, or are we overlooking somebody? Like I'm trying. Like, do you have one that
I've got a nominee? Now it's a little different. I don't know that he's for everybody. I think Kingsley Suamataia is a very handsome man.
Okay, I'm gonna have to hold on here. Hold on.
I think
I'm gonna have.
I think white women love Drew Tranquil.
I don't know he's gonna make it. Do they?
Yeah.
Let me see this. I have not.
I mean, I don't.
Boy, I did. I'm sorry, I did not. I was not prepared.
It's got good skin.
You weren't prepared for a Kingsley Suamataia.
No, I was not prepared for the offensive line.
Show prep, man. We got to prep for this show.
Okay. No, I mean, I didn't know where you were gonna go. I didn't. That's not. I don't know, really. I see the long hair. I can.
Again, not for everybody, but I think he's
those ears are doing a little too much dancing for me. I don't
think there's anybody like as naturally good looking on the roster as
you remember Sammy Parker, Ron, from back in the day? Those eyes you could just get lost in.
Yeah, you can get lost in them eyes.
Yeah. McDuffie is like when he walks up to the podium, you're just like,
first off, I really think you're underselling us.
And everybody thinks that.
I think you're underselling Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, he drove a lot of the ladies, and maybe I am really seeing the black community. So
I was about to say, can I ask, is this a Two America situation?
I don't think it is. I think he can slay a bunch of white women if he so pleased as well. Yeah. Go pull him up. Go pull him up. He's.
I might be sleeping on him a little bit
for Travis. But
I think right now, I think if we previously looking at the roster right now, is that what some people are doing? Like, I think if you look at it, I just I mean, Brian Cook, maybe he's in the range. I don't know.
He ain't on the roster either.
He may not be on the roster. I don't think he's going to be
Brian Cook.
I'm listen. I'm spitballing here. Like, what?
Have you seen Brian Cook?
He's not a train wreck,
right, man?
No,
right.
Stop it. He's not Popeye
Nobody's
Jones.
ever been stopped in their tracks because of Brian Cook.
I don't think you know. I like. It keeps coming up. The Illinois basketball player Brian Cook. When I type it in. You know what?
Serda has never responded that way.
Steve, shut up.
Ashton Gelati, if he gets rid of the neck beard, I think could be pretty good.
Upon second upon second look, I was off on Brian.
Yeah,
Cook.
yeah.
Brian Cook got away from me.
I feel like you had never seen Brian Cook before.
I had. I did. The acne was coming through a little stronger than I was on Brian Cook, and he seems like a man without a country with his hair.
Noah Gray. We forgot about Noah Gray.
Not bad. Like I'm trying to see like who has something for a little bit for everybody.
Jaden Hicks. I feel like Jaden Hicks is doing all right.
Not bad. Not that.
Jaden Hicks is a good one. That's a good nominee. That's a good poll.
But I don't think he's overtaken Travis, right?
No.
Ooh, Jaden's got that flowy hair.
Yeah,
you're right.
Jaden is like a more for everybody version of Kingsley.
Yeah, because he's a little skinnier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like I've met a lot of women in my life that would be real into Hunter Norzad.
I think we're going too deep. Yeah, I think we're going to
Juju.
I gotta tell you, I don't think I don't know the same women that would be into Hunter Norzad.
Yeah, I don't either. I know Xavier Worthy is not in the not in
Johnson County, unfortunately.
He's doing the best he can. Yeah. Let me pull up Noah Gray. I thought you were going to go with Remigio there for a second. I could see the Noah Gray thing. I can see that. That's a good nominee. Yep, Wanye Morris out. Yeah. Sorry, I feel like this
I think Serda's Drew Tranquil is a better nominee than Noah Gray.
Let me look at Drew then. Hold on.
I think Drew Tranquil right now, outside of Trav, might be number one.
Clean. He's just
this ESPN picture's not working for him. I need to see something else. He's doing too much. Let me see what Drew's doing.
I think Leo Chanel, but maybe he's not on the team next year.
Ooh, hold on now. When Drew has this thing faded up now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. Woo, he has the goatee in there. Okay.
I think he's the move. I think it's right now. Players currently.
I think he's the move.
Players currently on the roster. I would say Drew Tranquil has the number one spot.
Yeah.
For most handsome.
Drew, that I just pulled up his Super Bowl photo, and he had it faded up nicely. Goatee. That was a good choice. Trent McDuffie, like Isaiah Pacheco looks like he is trying to seduce people in his ESPN photo. I just want you to pull up his. He is giving you
more or less than Mekhi Lemon did at the NFL Combine.
Mekhi was strange. His was strange because it was just video.
Does he talk like that all the time? Like he's just a naturally sensual person?
I hope so. He talk about talk draws off. That's what Lemon. I don't know if I want him on my football team. I bet he did some meetings. He had some general managers and coaches who start to say, "Man, I'm getting hot in here, man. I don't need this. This ain't the kind of receiver I want here, man. I need a cigarette after I talk to this joker." No, but listen. Obviously, I agree. I think Trent McDuffie was probably at the top of the list all the way through. I think more women across all races were ready to drop their draws for Trent McDuffie. So he does win the spot, but he wins the spot. But I throw this, and you can jump on this, BK. Did the Chiefs win? Did the Chiefs win in this trade? Did they go into a space where them picking up a first, albeit 29, and then picking up 3 additional picks, including a 3rd-round pick in 2027 and a 5th and a 6th. By the way, they had 6 draft picks walking into the draft before this trade. Is this a win?
First of all, didn't expect to be talking about this 10 minutes into the pod. Thought it would be a little before, but I respect that this is where we're at.
Nobody opened up their pods like this. I promise you this. Nobody.
I believe you. I think you're right. I think we are the first. Yes, not only did the Chiefs win the trade, they hit a home run. I also think it was a good deal, by the way, for the Rams. I was going
to say the Rams did good. Yeah.
No doubt. I think given where they're at, it's a smart trade for them at this moment in their life cycle as an organization. And given where the Chiefs are at right now, It's a home run, man. You couldn't have asked for anything more. They got the 29th overall selection. They got a 5th and a 6th this year. They also got a 3rd in next year's draft, which is expected to be a better draft than this year. So I do think that's noteworthy. The 3rd rounder next year probably holds more value than a 3rd rounder in this year's draft, given the talent you're expected to be able to get there. So keep that in mind if you're a Chiefs fan. I do think that is a pretty significant pick that they were able to get there. There's a few different reasons. And Ron, I've been consistent on this since I would say like November of last year. I've said the Chiefs need to trade Trent McDuffie. It's not going to be popular, but it's the thing they need to do. And there's a few reasons why. One, the cap situation they're in right now, it's not ideal. They can kind of maneuver things in a way where they could have re-signed him if they wanted to. This year wouldn't have been the problem. It's really 2027 where it becomes a potential hindrance for them. They just have a lot of guys making a ton of money. And eventually you have to decide, this guy's not going to be the one that we pay. And the reason why you can get away with it for McDuffie is because of their history of drafting and developing players in the secondary. I just give the benefit of the doubt to Dave Merritt and to Steve Spagnuolo that they're going to figure this out with their defensive backs. They've done it since the day that they got here, man. Go back to Charvarius Ward, L'Jarius Sneed. You see it with Jalen Watson, who's about to get paid. We'll get into him here in a little bit. They just consistently find these under-the-radar cornerbacks, and I believe that the next one is going to be Noel Williams. And I trust that if they think Christian Fulton is capable of being a starter, they paid him to do so, and I believe that he will do so for them this year. You've got Noel Williams. You've got Christian Fulton. That's fine outside, man. I see a lot of people saying, like, what are they going to do? Well, they've got their answer already on the roster for both of those two spots. So for all of those reasons, and then you look at the return that they got, it was a home run for the Chiefs in terms of the trade.
And Serda, and you could speak to this. I don't want to make it seem like, the Chiefs. No, the Chiefs got worse, and they traded right now. The Chiefs got worse, and they traded away. Guys, you don't generally see 25-year-old two-time All-Pros get traded, in their prime like this, in a team that drafted them and developed them. So this isn't the Chiefs got to wait. No, they got to figure some things out because they have traded away a great player. Now, I hate when people do this with fans. Some fans do this where they trade a player and you just start to try to slide on their issues. I will say I think Trent McDuffie is a great slot corner and a great slot corner that can do a ton of things. He may be the best blitzing corner in all of football, like L'Jarius Sneed was before him, all of football. So, but I do think it does make it more of an easier thing to say he's a great player, but on the outside, can we get something close to that for half the price? Because I think Serda, he may get the highest deal that a corner has gotten, or at least something that would have been huge for the Chiefs. So I do think it is the right move, and you got to make it. But I also don't want to act like, hey, man, they're good now. No, they've lost Trent McDuffie, and he leaves a big void.
And Ian Rappaport basically said that yesterday when the trade went through, that McDuffie is probably going to become the highest paid cornerback in the NFL, and he's probably going to get $30 million per season. That was simply never going to happen in Kansas City. Just no. Like, maybe they were going to make him one of the 3 highest paid cornerbacks in football. They were simply not going to ever reset the market with Trent McDuffie. And it's tough to swallow, especially when you think about, like, the Chiefs putting money in Trey Smith and Nick Bolton and George Karlaftis. And I'm not saying all of that stuff is sunk cost, because I've seen a lot of people say that stuff. Like, I think those guys are effective players who have favorable market contracts for the most part, based off of what you get from them. Trent McDuffie is a star, and I think Trent McDuffie right now is a better football player than all 3 of those guys. But the reality of the situation is The Chiefs have been the best team in the NFL at drafting and developing cornerbacks, and they don't get a lot of credit for it most of the time because it's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the star power and everything else that comes with all of that. But for all of us who have been paying attention and all of the Chiefs fans, everybody knows that. Like, they're really good at drafting and developing corners. It has been a staple of this regime for years now, and they have always been able to figure it out. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be drafting and developing. Like, remember Brashard Smith, I think. Remember bringing him in on a 2-year deal, and he was a super effective player for them. Like, they've always been
Rashad Breeland. Smith is the running back that I'm cool with moving on from.
Breeland. But yeah, like Christian Fulton right now looks like the worst cornerback signing that they've made in years. And maybe they get more out of him next season. We'll see. But they've been really good at this. I think it's tough to swallow watching a player go away in his prime to not only just getting traded away, but getting traded to a team that is going to be heavily competing for a Super Bowl next season in the Rams. But I think that the Chiefs got absolutely everything that they could out of this. The only way this could have been better is if you got like what the Colts gave away for Sauce Gardner, which was just never going to happen. Like, when that trade went through, everybody knew that was a bad trade and the Colts were overpaying for that. But I think Trent McDuffie is a special player, but also the reality of the cornerback position is that they don't last very long. Like, they fall off fast. And I think Trent McDuffie is still going to be an elite player for several more years, but so was Tyreek Hill, and that worked out fine for the Chiefs. So you did what you had to do. You simply have too many needs on this roster to try to get back to where you want to go in the next year or two. And unfortunately, this is the best move you could have made right now to make sure that that happens sooner rather than later.
I also, with this, want to kind of address a narrative that I've heard, and I've heard this both nationally, which is not really surprising, but I have heard it from a local perspective too of, all right, hey, this looks like a move that is all right, we know that we're maybe going to take a step back, and this is the year that we kind of have a bridge year, and then we take a step back and we really get ready to push things to 2027. And that's what this is about. Because, yes, you don't trade a great player like Trent McDuffie, who's one of the top 10 corners, top 8 corners in the league, if you're still competing. And I would say to the people locally, shame on you. And to the people nationally, maybe you just haven't watched the Chiefs and watch how they work and move. And maybe you don't understand what they have at their disposal. I want to kill that right now for anybody listening. This is not this signifies that maybe this is a move where the Chiefs know that this is not the year for them to go at. No, they are in championship or bust, right? Patrick Mahomes is not going to miss 8 weeks. Hell, I don't even know if he's going to miss any weeks. All right, he may miss sometimes, but Patrick Mahomes is going to be there, and they are building this team to try to win right now. And when you look at the AFC and what we just watched from the AFC, damn it, they can. And when you look at the resources with the money they are opening up and more money they can open up. With now the draft picks, they've got pick 9, 29, and 40, right? They have assets to feel, yes, right now as it sits, BK and Serda, they got holes, but you don't think they're going to fill the running back room? It looks like they've got all kinds of chances and ways to fill that. You don't think they're going to fill their pass rush? It looks like they've got all the ability to do that. So and again, we've seen them do this with Tyreek Hill. Did they compete? They won the Super Bowl. We've seen them do this with L'Jarius Sneed. Did they compete? They got to the Super Bowl. Like, they make moves like this all the way since they traded Marcus Peters a long time ago when Andy was here, and they won the Super Bowl 2 years later, and when we're competing. So this in no way, in my opinion, fellas, means that the Chiefs are are accepting that they are not true contenders and they're really, really going to rev up for 2027. No, they're revving up for 2027 and hoping they're defending a championship from 2026.
Yeah, don't forget D Ford did it with him as well. Got rid of him. They have the 9th pick, the 29th pick, and the 40th pick. Those are legit premium assets in the NFL draft. Those 3 players that they selected, those 3 spots, should be starters next year. That's at least the expectation going in. Then you look at it, Ron, right now, as of today, I think they're 13th in the NFL in cap space today. They've got $25 million available. You're going to need about like $7-8 million to be able to get through the draft. So let's call it $18 million that they have actually available to them today to be able to do business. That again is a little misleading because they still have $12 million that they can get from a Trey Smith restructure. They have $9 million that they could get from a Creed Humphrey restructure. They have $8 million from a George Karlaftis restructure. None of those really do anything to change this year, next year, what they're going to do with any of those 3 players. You add those 3 up. If they wanted to, if they needed it.
They could do Chris Jones.
They could. That's the one that I do think kind of complicates future years. That's why I picked these 3, because it doesn't complicate anything about your future. It's just getting you more cash to be able to utilize today. Those 3 players, if you were to restructure them, gives you about an extra $30 million. That means you have roughly $50 million against the cap this year to be able to play with. That means you can go out and you can do some of those big 1 or 2 year deals. Like if they were really interested in somebody like a Mike Evans, I'm not sure if they are or not, but if they wanted to, it's going to take a lot of money in this year's cap to be able to make that possible. A lot of teams just can't do that. They don't have the available money right now. They want to stretch it out over multiple years to be able to have some of that funny money. Well, the Chiefs are one of those teams that can actually do something like that. If they wanted to go out, and you mentioned this earlier, Ron, Cam Jordan was released earlier today, I believe.
Yep.
He's probably going to sign a 1-year deal somewhere. It's probably going to be for decent money, but a 1-year deal nonetheless. Chiefs can do stuff like that. So that's what cap space today will provide in flexibility is you can do some of those 1-year deals to be able to have that money fall off of the books going into next season. And the reason why I bring all of this up is because of what you just said. No, this is not some gap year. They're not going to take a step back. The reason they do this is to overhaul what their roster situation is right now. They don't like where they're at, and they need to reconfigure things. And being able to trade Trent McDuffie, this is their best way to get a huge asset and cap flexibility with $13 million to go do that in the open market.
Yeah, if Travis Kelce's going to be a member of this football team, which I think he is, I don't think Travis Kelce is coming in for the bridge year. I don't think that is the case. So I just think people have not paid attention to the Chiefs to look at this. They have an offensive line.
Something else, Ron?
Yeah, go ahead.
If they were going to do a bridge year, they should have already cut Jalen Moore. They should have already cut Christian Fulton. They should have already cut Drew Tranquil. They should have already cut Noah Gray. There's no reason for any of those guys to be here if this is going to be a bridge year, because you should take your medicine right now to be able to have the books completely clear for 2027. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. There's no way they're competing to win a championship.
I don't think the idea of like bridge year enters the conversation whatsoever for them. Like,
no,
there's still talent on this team. They underperformed last season. Injuries piled up, and the roster simply wasn't good enough last season. And so I think coming into the offseason, we all said, okay, go make it happen. Go be aggressive. They are being hyper aggressive in everything that they are doing right now. And like, yeah, I want them to have a little bit more tackle depth heading into the season. But like, I'm pretty good with where the offensive line's at right now. It's much better than it's been in recent years.
They're fine there.
And they have way other pressing needs, and they can go out and make those things happen. They're going to be super aggressive in free agency. I hope that they land at least 2 like big name key players. And then after that, you got a bunch of draft capital to go figure it out and make something happen. And this offseason has gone about as good as I could have hoped that it was going to go for the Chiefs, because this is what you have to do. If you want to get good in a hurry, you got to go be aggressive. You got to get draft picks, and you got to go spend some money and get rid of the dead weight. And they've done all of that so far.
I'm glad. Like when I hear that, and it's going to be funny. As soon as we get to the draft, people are going to be singing a completely different song when they see what the Chiefs do to prepare themselves for the draft, and then when they get the draft, they're going to be like, "Oh wow, the Chiefs just went and made a trade or signed the pass rush help. Oh, the Chiefs have taken care of their running back situation. Oh, the Chiefs have done it." Like it's crazy to think. Yeah, they went out there and banged out and got Eric Bieniemy and changed their whole coaching staff for gap years. And Travis Kelce is coming back, but you think this is a bridge year in 2027 is really where they're going. BK, I'll be honest, I've not heard a lot of people say this. And by the way, if you're on YouTube with us, we appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. We need you right there. Like and subscribe as we continue to try to get things going right here on Show and BK. But you have got something I've not heard a lot of people, because a lot of people I think thought you trade Trent McDuffie. That's been a conversation for a long time. But then your other starting cornerback is a free agent, but he's coming in much cheaper. You're not paying him $30 million. His thought is like between $13 and $15 million to bring back Jalen Watson, who you drafted in the 7th round. You ain't never really paid him much. But you're out on re-signing Jalen Watson?
I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. It would go against the entire premise of why you traded Trent McDuffie. You're really good at finding these guys in the draft and paying them basically nothing, paying them peanuts, and then letting them walk. You let Charvarius Ward walk when he was going to get ready to make real money. You're letting Trent McDuffie go when he's going to get ready to make real money. They don't do that. So the idea that they would then turn around after trading Trent McDuffie and paying $15+ million a year to Jalen Watson, it just doesn't make sense to me when they already have their answers for that position internally. Christian Fulton should be the expected starter on opening day for this team in 2026. I would anticipate Noel Williams is a starter outside in 2026. I do think they need a slot corner. That is something I do not see on the roster right now. Shouldn't be Shamari Connor. I don't think they have a legit slot corner today. You could draft that guy in the 3rd round, the 4th round, the 5th round, and have him as a starter. Go to free agency and find a guy. You don't need to pay $15 million a year to Jalen Watson to do that. And there's also an opportunity cost in doing so. If they decide to sign Jalen Watson, what are they missing out on because of that? Are they missing out on Boye Mafe, a defensive end that is expected to get roughly the same level of contract? Are they missing out on Jawan Jennings or Romeo Dobbs, who are expected to get similar AAVs because of Jalen Watson being back? Are they missing out on their running back, Travis Etienne or Kenneth Walker III? Like, is that what they're giving up to be able to re-sign a guy like Jalen Watson? To me, that doesn't make any sense. I would rather have all of those other guys at bigger positions of need for the Chiefs than bringing back somebody who you already have the answer internally for.
I get your thinking on that, because the thought is you would bring back Noel Williams, who I am really high on. Noel Williams is the biggest reason why I feel great about – not great. I feel better about the move with Trent McDuffie more than just the draft capital that you got from it. I think Williams has a chance to be really, really good. But you say Williams, Fulton, and then Watson, and you're right. Who is the slot guy? Who is the guy that generally plays slot? And you really don't have that. And we don't want to be in a position with that, because we know what Steve's going to do. Not you, Spags. Spags is going to say, hey, guys, I got a slot corner. C squared. Shamari, come on down. I got one for you. He's been a slot corner for years here. No, we can't do that. So I get that point of it, but if you do not re-sign Jalen Watson and you're there with Noel Williams and you're there with Christian Fulton, who, I'll be honest, Serda, I don't trust a ton, and you're there with Brian Cook, who feels like he is pricing himself out of the safety market. And I'll be honest, the numbers I'm hearing for him, I don't know that he's. I don't know.
Back.
Well, I don't know he's good enough that I want to pay that, to be honest with you. And
I wouldn't either. I think his best season was a contract year. Other than that, he had been a fine player, but nothing special.
And they clearly don't trust Jordan Hicks. I'll be honest. I get the move, and I get where you're saying with Jalen Watson, and obviously you trust the Chiefs and their track record to figure it out. But that does make you concerned in the secondary, though. When you're talking about, as Serda just said clearly, Brian Cook ain't coming back, and you then look at it, and now you lose your top two corners in Watson and McDuffie, and now you got to try to figure that out in the draft, or were you going to try to get cheap there? That does concern me, because I know Spags doesn't depend on that, but the best we've seen this defense was with good cornerback play, and so that does make me wonder. All right, that now becomes another big thing you got to figure out, along with the running back room, along with what feels like the defensive line, and then who knows what this wide receiver room needs help with. So that does get concerning.
You're right, but it goes back to what I've been saying all along. You're gonna have to go cheap somewhere. You're gonna have to leave yourself thin somewhere. You can't fill all of these holes with players that you feel good about. Otherwise, it would require unlimited money this offseason. So, like, I think they need to sign a wide receiver in free agency. So if you're looking at like the Romeo Dobbs, Mike Evans, Juwan Jennings of the world, they're all in that like $15 to $18 million a year range, most likely. Maybe Evans is a little above that. Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, they're in that like 10 to 15-ish $1 million a year range. Boye Mafe, Jalen Phillips, defensive ends that are on the market, $10 to $15 million a year. Jalen Watson, he's in that $15 million a year range. You could probably sign 2 or 3 of those players that I just mentioned. So are you going with the corner over adding a wide receiver, a defensive end, or a running back to fix some of the bigger issues that you have on your roster right now? I'm not. Maybe other people disagree with that, and I can at least listen to the case. I can't get myself there. I see no scenario in which it really actually makes sense for Jalen Watson to be back on this roster.
No scenario.
At the contract that he's currently projected to get. If he's willing to take a hometown discount, we're talking about $8 or $10 million. He shouldn't, and he won't. Yeah. Then sure, but he's too good and worth too much money to come back to the Chiefs. It doesn't make sense, just like it doesn't for Brian Cook.
And I think that Jalen Watson was like so much better than anybody ever gave him credit for. I for years felt like he did not get nearly enough attention for how good he was as a late round draft pick, and was right out of the gate like a significant contributor to this Chiefs secondary. But then, like, I think back to that year of like Watson, McDuffie, and Snead, and Joshua Williams was playing a lot that year too. And everybody was like, oh, the Chiefs have nobody in the secondary, because this was before the ascension of like Snead and McDuffie, and that year where their defense was just lights out and one of the best defenses that we've ever seen. And like that year makes me confident that they can figure this out again, because we've just seen them do it. And it probably certainly won't ever reach that level again, but they were more than effective before that too. And they'll figure it out and they'll piece it together. And I think Jalen Watson's a really good player, but also part of me is like, Jalen Watson's the type of cornerback that screams like, yeah, this guy's going to be more affordable than top of the market. He's been really, really good and underrated. So we're going to pay him a bunch of money. And then he's going to come here and he's not going to be as good in this system, or without Trent McDuffie or L'Jarius Sneed, like helping him and putting him in good situations or something like that. But people probably would have said that about Charvarius Ward, but I thought Charvarius Ward was great. And Charvarius Ward went on to have all pro seasons after he left Kansas City. So I would be happy if I was wrong about Jalen Watson, but at the same time, I agree with BK that there's just too many other things that I think matter more right now, when they know that they don't have to spend money in that room, and it'll probably be at least adequate. I don't think that they're confident they can do that in like pass rush.
when you say adequate, I need to see what the plan is. I trust that they will have the plan. Does that plan mean that those picks that we're talking about, 9, 29, and 40, have to go towards that? And that could be through the draft, through trade, or something? Because right now, if you're deciding not to sign Jalen Watson back, somewhere you got to go get somebody. Like, are you comfortable right now, Fulton and Noel Williams as your outside corners, and then you find a slot?
Yeah. If that's what they have to do going into opening, like if that's the roster on opening night, I'm cool with it. I don't feel great about it, but the reason why you could potentially live with it is because of what it allows you to do. You can then go to free agency or trades. I would say more likely free agency at this point, given what we've seen the trade prices are. I think it's really boosted in a significant way this offseason how much teams are willing to give up in trades, and maybe that has to do with the draft. But because of that, I think they should go to free agency and really, really bolster this defensive line. And we know defensive lines and secondary, it works in tandem. If you can get to the quarterback quicker, it puts less pressure on that secondary. And if you can't do that, well, then you damn well better have a really good secondary that's able to hold up for longer. We've seen it both ways in Kansas City under Steve Spagnuolo. At times they've been elite with the pass rush. At times they've been elite with the secondary. They can make it work either way. I would like to see them try to build up a top 5 or top 10 defensive line by the end of the offseason to be able to make up for what they have on the back end.
And BK, with that, there is no excuse for them not to do that. And let me try that. There's no excuse for us to not walk in and see the vision and understand it. And now if it don't work out, it don't work out. But there is no, clearly they know the Mike Dana, Charles Omenihu, like that whole Jerry Tillery, all of that. You could look at that and be like, I don't know. You really need Charles Omenihu to step up. I don't know, George, you really needed to step up. But you can look at that and you're not shocked to see that they got the space they got to with the issues they had rushing the passer. It shouldn't be that. Again, there are times where stuff just doesn't work, injuries happen or whatever, but I'm not mad at the general manager or the person who made the decision. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But BK and Serda, they have every single thought or type of resource to address this. And it is becoming flooded in the market, in the draft and free agency with veterans, trades, all of it. You want to trade, you talked about it last week. There's Kayvon Thibodeau. There are potential trades there. I don't think they can get Max Crosby, but whatever.
How about Jonathan Grenard? You have a previous history of watching him. He's a good player. Minnesota is in a really bad spot with their cap situation. He's 29 years old. He's had multiple years of 10 or more sacks, doing it in 2 different systems. That's a guy I really like as a mid-round pick type of player.
Option guy. Yeah, that's an option. You got, as we talked about, Cam Jordan has just come open if you want an older guy that may still have some juice in a year. You want Joey Bosa? I don't know. But Khalil Mack? I don't know. But there are so many options. Jason Phillips, Bradley Chubb that just came open.
Boye Mafe, who they had some interest in the draft a few years ago. Now he's 27 years old, coming off a Super Bowl, ready to get paid. That's another guy.
Yep, you got the draft. You're at 9. You're at 40. You're at 29. You can come up to go get some of these guys. You can go and if you look up there and you say, "Damn it, I want David Bailey." You got ammunition to go up and get that if you want to from the kid from Texas Tech. That is, and that can help the secondary, as you said. But those 2 positions, BK, and maybe you throw a receiver in there too, but those 2, the running back and defensive line positions are arguably their 2 biggest issues. They should not have any problems being able to field those. Now, do they work? No. But there should be no issues where by the time the draft is over and we see the answers at defensive line and pass rush and running back, you should feel like, all right, they got answers. I feel good about what they've done.
I think they should end up with one, like I mentioned earlier, they've got 3 premium assets in the NFL draft. You've got the 9th pick, the 29th pick, and the 40th pick. I think one of those 3 should be a defensive lineman. It can be an edge, it can be a defensive tackle, but it's got to be, in my opinion, a defensive lineman. I think they should also make a significant investment in the defensive line, either in free agency or via trade. So if it's Kayvon Thibodeau or Jonathan Grenard or another defensive end edge rusher that we haven't heard about, fine by me. Or you go out there and you sign one of Jalen Phillips or Boye Mafe or Khalil Mack. You end up with one of those guys that's currently out there on the market.
Trey
Hendrickson, like whatever your favorite is of the group. I think they probably are kind of in that middle tier, somewhere below Trey Hendrickson, and probably somewhere like I think you need somebody that's a little better than like a Jadeveon Clowney, who's constantly available on the free agent market.
Yeah, I'm out on that.
A guy that can conceivably be your 3rd best pass rusher going into next year. If you feel good about that, I'm feeling good about it. So yeah, top 40 pick, free agent / trade acquisition. Both of those should be added on the defensive line. And then I think you also need a legit nose tackle, Ron. This team has gone through the Derek Nottie, Mike Pennell experience for like 5 consecutive seasons now. Go get yourself an answer. Go find. They're not expensive. They're typically like $5 or $6 million. Go to the market and find somebody that can actually fill that hole that we don't have to squint to see it anymore. I think we've seen, hey, the running game, it's back in vogue. It's becoming a huge piece of what these teams are doing to be successful. Find your answer to that. Find somebody that can plug the middle of the defense. I think that's something they should look at as well.
Yeah, it's like sometimes there are certain positions, some things where you're in a tough spot. Maybe the cornerback position is that, but these here, man. I mean, it's every day somebody new is coming out. It is every day somebody new is coming out. Every day you hear trade talks. Every day. I mean, because you talk about it. You got Chris Jones, you make a trade or something for Thibodeau or Jonathan Grenard, and I don't think George is going to be as rough as he was last year. And you draft somebody like, I mean, I think you fix that and you feel a lot different about that group up front. So. Like I have so much confidence, BK and Serda, that Brett Veach and them will fix the pass rush and the running back room, because it's hard to F up. Like they're smart and it's hard to screw up.
It's going to be like when they rebuilt the offensive line a few years ago. Like I think there's going to be a wave of moves along the defensive line, because that was like
they overcorrect.
In my mind, like, yeah, the injuries piled up, but the injuries piled up after this thing was already falling apart. And it was because they could never get off the field last season. It was because the pass rush was never good enough last season. And I think that they know that.
Yeah. I'm excited about that part of it. Damn, Trent McDuffie. Damn it. Sorry, man. I will say on one last thing on Trent McDuffie. I will say, like, I think it's the right thing. Any concern they're pressing their luck on this? Yeah, man, we can make cornerbacks.
Of course.
Any concern on this?
Like, blow up in their faces.
Like that. This is the one. Like, I don't know if I agree. But I heard Danny Parkins saying it on First Things First, talking about all of these corners aren't created equal. There is like, damn, man, they just, hey, man, they treating cornerbacks like running backs. Like
once they got Dave Merritt, it'll be okay.
They've had really good ones. And this is a premium position. Great corners always get a second contract, except in Kansas City.
So I'm not so worried about the corner spot. Maybe that's going to look really bad in 6 months, but that's not what concerns me. I am a little concerned about the lack of blue chip talent that currently exists on the Chiefs roster. They've got a lot of really solid players. Like, I would say Nick Bolton, solid player. George Karlaftis, solid player. I like a lot of their players on the offense, especially on the O-line. A lot of really solid players. Right now, Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones, are those the only two legit elite blue chip talents that they have on the roster?
Those players are good enough when you have a few Hall of Fame players that make the plays when they need to be made.
Creed Humphrey? I think
I
Creed
was
is
gonna say, I think
blue chip
Creed
talent.
is. I think Josh is.
Probably.
I
It's
think
early,
Josh
but probably.
is a blue chip talent. Yeah.
But their lack of blue chip talents on the defensive side of the ball and their lack of playmakers that are legit blue chip talents right now on the offensive side of the ball, that to me, it will become a concern sooner rather than later because Chris is going to age out of that eventually. And if it's just Pat as a blue chip talent, you can't win Super Bowls that way, man. You can win Super Bowls when you've got a lot of guys that are superstar level players or that are like legit stud players. Otherwise, man, it's really hard to build this way. You just can't pay everybody. I think we're seeing that this year. You can't pay everybody when you've got a lot of really good players. It becomes a hard way to build.
No, they have got to get some home run hitters. And I think they've got to add a couple in the offseason. And I think they can. You hope they add one that's immediate, and then you hope they add one that is down the line. Who knows? I think it is a absolute. I don't know about a lot of needs and have tos. I think 9 has to be one of those. The number 9 pick, because there's just too many options right there that it can't be. Whether it's Caleb Downs, whether it's Jeremiah Love, whether it's Carnell Tate, whether it's Bailey or that person there has to be, because they're only going to get this many opportunities to be able to go there. That person has to be one of them, at least for the future, down the line, a blue chip guy.
Before we get out of here, Ron, I got one question for you. If I said, hey, Ron, you got to put 10 grand down today, and you have to predict one player that the Chiefs will sign in free agency, who would you stake your claim to? Who's the guy that you think they're walking away from free agency with player X? Because the next time that we talk on this show, they'll be firmly involved in the free agency class.
Leo Chanel.
Not currently on the roster.
Travis Etienne. I think it's the safest bet. Trey Hendrickson would be fun, I think.
But what, like a 5% chance of them actually doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's older, coming off an injury season. Maybe his market's not what he thinks it is. Yeah.
I think they really want Jeremiah Love. But
they can't control that unless they trade up.
But I think they can't control that. But I think they're clearly going to get a running back in free agency, right? But the type of running back will scream what they're thinking, right? And if they feel like they got to get in front of somebody like Washington or something like that, if that is the case, then if it's Tyler Algier or Ulrico, Travis Etienne.
That does not rule out Jeremiah Love.
No, Travis Etienne does. The other guys,
I think the only running backs on the market that would rule him out would be Kenneth Walker and Travis Etienne.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If they sign one of those two, you can't take Jeremiah Love in the first round. If they don't sign one of those two, it at least opens up the possibility. However, it also makes me wonder, did they actually fix the position? Because if they don't end up with Love in the first round and you go into opening night and your number one running back is Rico Dowdle, I feel better.
I feel better, but they're going to have to address it again. That means they might have to address it again later on in the draft. Right?
It would make me a little more nervous. So that's why I think they're just going to. I agree with Serda. If I had to bet on one player, I think it's Travis Etienne. If I had to go a different position, I'd go Boye Mafe, defensive end from the Seattle Seahawks. I think he's the most likely edge rusher.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Well, a
They
lot to get
supposedly
to.
tried to trade for Boye Mafe.
Yeah.
The deadline. So.
And we know how Brett Veach works, man. He tried to draft him, then he tried to trade for him. He's gonna sign him.
So he gonna get that. He gonna get his ass. Is what he gonna do. Brett said, "You ain't gonna get away from me no much longer." All right, we are out.